Thank you so much, Dean. I've had the chance to see you do talks twice, and it's always super, super interesting. While this was the last keynote, we now have our very first plenary session. So if designs is changing, markets are changing, and tenants' expectations are changing, then how do we make co-working and flex the natural choice in a hybrid world? To explore that, we've brought together leaders from across the international co-working landscape. So please join me in welcoming Paulo Diaz, CEO of Europe of IWG, Dan Zakai, co-founder of Mindspace, Rebecca Nachanakian, GM Continental Europe and Middle East at WeWork, Christophe Courtin, founder of Flexo and SaasOffice, and Yvan Maillard, Managing Director Continental Europe at Industrious.
Please come on stage. Rebecca. Hi. There you are, Yvan. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. So this is a little bit of a tradition. We try to start with the first panel with the, we can call them the leader of the industry because most of them are international players. So there are not so many international operators, to be honest, especially in Europe. A lot of the champions locally are from their respective countries. So without further ado, I will let you introduce yourself, and I will Yvan from Industrious, Rebecca from WeWork, Dan from Mindspace, sorry, Paulo from IWG, and Christophe from Flexo and SaasOffice. So, ladies first, Rebecca, do you want to maybe introduce yourself briefly and tell us a little bit about your company that, of course, everybody knows? It's open.
Hello, good morning, everyone. So I'm Rebecca Nachanakian. I am the General Manager for WeWork, Continental Europe and Middle East, based in Paris, enjoying the cold Berlin the last 48 hours.
Dan Zakai, co-founder and CEO of Mindspace. We operate in 7 countries. We have nearly 50 locations, and we've been around for the past 11 years.
Paulo?
Paulo Diaz from IWG. I started with the startup of the time called Regus back in '93 and have been managing and developing the business in different regions, and I'm now in charge of Europe, where we're present pretty much in all countries except 2 or 3 small ones we're about to enter into.
Thank you. Christophe?
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Christophe Courtin, founder and CEO of Flexo. We have 17 locations in France, and I am the founder CEO too of SaasOffice.
And good morning, everyone. So I'm Yvan Maillard, and I'm the head of Europe for Industrious. Industrious is big in the United States, but we are 15 units in Europe, and initially people know us for the big focus on partnering with the asset owners and operating space. So we've been mostly doubling or tripling size in the last 4 years since the pandemic.
Great, thank you. So, Rebecca, let's start with you first. I was initially thinking we could have a few comments about the data we heard, but I think Dean's insight was pretty striking. And you see the moment for Coworking 3.0 arriving, so redefining a little bit the value proposition we are having as an industry. And if so, how do you see it from the WeWork perspective and from maybe the industry perspective?
Thank you very much, and thank you for starting with me. I think I have the privilege of being the only woman on the panel, so I get the first intervention. So, yes, we are seeing a shift. So I think we had, I was listening to the previous keynotes, and Dean, thank you for showing a picture of WeWork, and we spoke about memories, what work is what's the definition of work, what's co-working, what's flex. So I think several points were raised. For WeWork, we evolved as with the demand. So yes, 15, 16 years ago, when WeWork was invented, we were looking at small and medium offices. It was more of a co-working open space. Then you see the history of the flex, hybrid, co-working, whatever definition is, has evolved throughout the years with a peak after COVID. What we are seeing today is creating the memories mentioned earlier by Dean. It is a consolidated memories throughout the day that would define your work day. And this means for us hospitality. So it is really a focus on the intangible approach of your day at work, more the memories that were mentioned. And at WeWork, there is lately a strong focus on hospitality in addition to what the community team has been doing the last few years. We are adding the aspect of scent so that you recognize you're entering a WeWork space like you would recognize you're entering a WeWork space from the DNA and the design that we have and we had. But we're adding those elements of memories, connection, networking, really all the aspects of feeling that you belong to the space.
Perfect. Dan, what's your opinion? Coworking 3.0 has arrived and we should tell it more, shout it?
Yeah, I can very much relate to what we saw earlier with the Cushman report. We have the observation across 7 markets, and I think what we're seeing is that the evolution is similar to, in all of the markets, but they're all in different phases. So Mindspace is a very hospitality-driven company. Right from the get-go, we were all about hospitality, less about community. Community was a derivative of a good hospitality and having good members into the space. It was mostly about thinking about every aspect of the day of the members since they walk into the space. I think, some interesting trends that we're seeing is, London, for example, a highly competitive and professional market. We have to keep up with the pace of what landlords are doing to, still be able to carve our niche in this market because they're doing a really good job at amenitizing their buildings and approaching kind of like the enterprise deals that we were targeting for a long time. Whereas in other markets, what we had started doing, 10 years ago is still very much relevant and still very much exciting, and we're able to fill up the spaces with happy members, and we don't need, the enterprise accounts, basically. So I think very interesting to see how the industry is evolving. I keep telling the team, if you want to see what's coming, what's ahead, look at London, look at Paris, this is where the market is headed, and also encouraging, the other operators to do the same because, we do see the trends following in the various regions.
Thank you. Paulo, you mentioned that you started with Regus, and in the meantime, Regus became IWG with multi-brand company like Hotel did. So is it also your way to embrace the Coworking 2.0 and then now Coworking 3.0 movement or concept?
I think I'll take that point in a slightly different way. What you mentioned is that we started as Regus and we moved into IWG for a reason, which is to become multi-brand, which is exactly what hotel companies do. And the reason why we did that is that we want to make sure that co-working sticks into companies. That becomes really strategic move, as Anita said. And for that, you need to give choice to people. And some people like super great experiences downtown. Some people like something close to home, a bit smaller, a bit cozy. That's what I personally do. I always choose my office 15 minutes max from where I live, and have the luxury of being able to do that and choose the center, worst case, open one. But that's what we're trying to do, is really, make sure that anywhere you go, within 15 minutes, you will have something that will fit your need. As an architect, you work differently from a sales guy who just drops in and drops out. Some people are creative, others need more concentration. So choice, that the one thing for me to get this industry really into everyone's mind is precise to have variety, that people do different things, not one version of co-working 3.0 or whatever, but different things, choice, variety.
Yeah, that's specific. Yeah, we stress a lot, especially at Coworking Europe now, that coworking is an industry which has many segments and to be addressed differently, and having many brands for that is definitely following the way hotels did in the past. And so that leads us to Christophe, who let's say you are a newcomer, even if Flexo is one of the fastest growing brand now in France, you also address the market also with a technologically loaded approach, can we say? So how do you see, so you leapfrog, let's say, the co-working 1.0 and maybe 2.0, and now you are already in the 3.0. So tell us more about how you see and what maybe inspires you when you heard Dean and maybe the other data that was shared.
Yes, but today Flexo have 17 locations in 10 cities in France and around 5,000 clients. We have welcomed recently a big law firm. It's very interesting. While we have 600 law firms comes to Flexo, because we have very nice software. We have all-in-one app, and we can manage everything with the app with SaasOffice, because before you use 10 tools. You have some stand-up spot, but another ERG, you have Nexus or Office R&D, all is good, but it's difficult to communicate, with the system. And if I need to have invoice or code or acquisition or everything, I need to change the applicative. And that's why I have created Flexo in 2020. We have 17 locations, and SaasOffice 1 year ago. I know very nice Paulo since 3 years, not Dan and other guys, but I'm very happy to be here. And yes, it's moment time for new coworking and new software.
So it's like saying, so we heard also Dean saying, referring to this quote about software as eat and walk. So is it what is happening? Or how do you see it coming in Industrious, for instance? How important, so maybe speaking about the evolution of the coworking and our concept and our processes, how important is it becoming for a company such as Industrious, which also now is part of a big company? What can you tell us about it, Yvan? How do you see it?
I think we've always seen two sides of the story. How do we make every individual that come to an Industrious being extremely satisfied and feeling recognized? And we spent probably the first 5-6 years of the company life to focus on that answer. How do we get obsessed about making sure that everything will be at the right place and people will be recognized and will make people feel good in the workspace? But now we shift to this question, which is, how do we have the answer for large organizations to be more efficient and to figure out this hybrid new reality, which is full of uncertainties? So we're trying to focus on the human aspect and making sure that's above hospitality standards. We just have the right answer for each and everyone to want to be in the office space, and that has to be supported mostly by data and feedback from clients. But the second point is, how do we make sure that organizations, because at the end of the day, when we sell space, it's a couple of people who come and make a decision. They don't send the whole team and then vote for the space. So how do we make sure we help and support those teams to figure out the hybrid work? And that's a real challenge. It's really about being an organizational tool for those guys.
Yes, especially for the agenda of the conference this year, we mentioned hybrid working. It's a little bit the elephant in the room, because we can't stop telling coworking can address the hybrid working needs of companies. Still, when you interview a lot of corporates or HR people, etc., they don't figure out maybe that we can provide a solution. So my questions are, when we prepared the panel, I was curious to hear you. How can we better address this need for companies? So everybody is speaking about the need for more flexibility for the employees and hybrid working. What is missing in our positioning, communication, or maybe the products we are providing to really deliver on that and become the number one option for any company or organization? Rebecca, what is your thought about it, maybe?
I think that's a question we can answer for hours, and we don't have this time. We witnessed that, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of all flex business. I'm not talking only speaking about WeWork. We've witnessed that there is a pickup and a demand increasing year on year for flex offices. So it is, in a way, slowly becoming the obvious solution for all companies, right? For several reasons, and we can debate on it. For landlords, flex is the right solution. for companies who wants to enter in a new market, who wants to have a swing space, who want to downgrade, upgrade, depending on demand, without going into a lease. So it has many advantages, and definitely I can list many of them, but not here and now. So I think we are in a good position where we are today. Is there anything we can do more? Yes, there are definitely many markets where flex is not the trend yet, or it's taking time to adopt. So definitely there are things that can be done on making flex more legally accepted. So in terms of legislation, in terms of taxes, because we have also a different type of taxes we pay in terms of real estate taxes. And I think it's the case of all my colleagues and in the co-working industry here. So that's one thing. We can also create awareness going beyond the office and the desk and more on the emotion and the hospitality aspect, on the human connection, as mentioned by Yves. So there are elements that we can do, but I really think today we're in a good space.
All right. Do you agree then?
I agree that we're in a good spot. I think if we break it down, if we look at the smaller occupiers, we are obviously the preferred choice of many companies today. If we look at the larger occupiers, the enterprise companies, we need to be more professional at what we offer, because now that we are becoming an obvious choice for enterprise companies as well, we need to align with their expectations, with their workplace strategies. And in the past, you know, the good old days, I would say, when we had large accounts such as Google, for instance, coming in, taking, you know, space for 500 people, it was kind of like, this is the last space that they need, this is the only choice that they have, let's go with the Mindspace, right? But now it is becoming part of their workplace strategy. They are searching for a certain percent of their space to be flex. And they have their standards, and they need to meet those standards. So we as operators need to understand what those standards are, and kind of like enter that through the hybrid work solutions, but also make it more professional. The other piece is working together with the landlords. If you work together with landlords, either in management agreements or hybrid leases, which Mindspace has been doing for the past 7 years, then there's a more wholesome offering, you know, to the tenants, to the occupiers. So I think that's also key.
All right, Paulo. So yes, you have more been. IWG has this blunt strategy to cover all towns, let's say, with an offering, so addressing also the distributed workforce to some extent. So that's also addressing the hybrid workspace. To what extent do you see the companies understanding that there is this solution also for them nowadays? We mentioned that markets where the maturation, and we saw with Anita's map that there was a big difference between countries in Europe. So what's your take on that? What can we do more, or just building up the offering and the demand will come?
Well, it's very fragmented, but this industry has always been very fragmented. And I remember in the old days where we were, you know, there were 2 or 3 international companies working with corporates, people like Google, etc. We were delighted when WeWork arrived as well and started doing a lot of marketing, etc. Helped push the industry forward. That's one of the tricks, is that people need it. They're starting to find out sometimes by accident, and then they get used to that. But again, it's still very fragmented. You have several players here that are growing, creating networks, and therefore spending more quality time as well with not only property directors. I think you mentioned that quite well at the opening. Property directors sometimes know us, or sometimes know us and don't want to make it bigger than it should. But if you start talking to CEOs, to finance directors, then you open more doors and become HR directors, and becomes a lot more structural within the organizations, become part of strategy, as I saw in previous presentations here as well. So I guess the trick is time. We miss time, marketing budgets. I was a bit surprised with the sources of leads in the survey before, saying 60% is word of mouth. Word of mouth is difficult, and it's small. And you can do that for one site around you. You should do that. But for the industry to grow, we need a lot more than that. So hopefully, you know, quite a few companies are going to become bigger, are going to do more, spend more in marketing, in conferences, talking to people. On our end, we are strengthening a lot our corporate account team so that we talk to companies. So of course we're going to get business from that, but not only us. I mean, everyone's going to benefit, a bit from that effort as well.
So we have still work
A lot.
on that. Yeah. Christophe, coming back to the example you mentioned, when we discussed previously a few days ago, you had a very, I think, insightful talk element that was, for you, how difficult it was to onboard enterprises, had to do also with the way we handle the leads and the connection with time cycles, sales cycles, and it was not integrated enough with all the dimension data that all those companies are having. And that's why, according to you, that's what you said to me, we were also losing leads because of that with enterprises. And as you say, you have experiences with big lawyer firm or with a big bank in France. So can you elaborate a little bit maybe on that and your specific take on that?
Yes, indeed. Recently we welcomed this very large law firm, 600 lawyers, Paris Haussmann, very interesting because, excuse me, I need some notes because I'm French guy. They choose Flexo because we offer an all-in-one app, building access, desk booking, invoice, and all services directly on the smartphone. It's simple, smooth, and it works with zero testing system. Because having many services is not enough. They must all be integrated into one single app. The smart experience is why they chose Flexo. Only for that. And not to the 10 other competitors in front of us. And you know what? We were still one of the most expensive operators in the code. So conclusion is very clear. Today, excuse me, it's not this one. So, yes. Coworking operation needs a new innovating, revolutionary platform. After 5 years of research and development, we are proud to introduce SaasOffice, the only solution built by operators for operators. On the single platform, you have all your members, your code, events, payment, event, building access, inventory, community analytics, and all your services. The app and the back office are fully integrated. And is it possible to communicate with others by HubSpot or anyone?
That's how you got this law firm, because they were integrated with the data.
Yes, because it need to app, to choose the desk, to choose everything. And when we have 10 tools, it's very difficult to analyze all the community.
Yvan, we briefly mentioned that now you are part of a big group, CBRE, not to mention. So it tells a lot about where our industry is moving, isn't it? So that the biggest real estate service company in the world took over Industrious, and you are in a very high-level position to also influence the decision at that level. So what does it tell to us and the industry that such big companies now are taking coworking, flexworkers that seriously, so that now Industrious is really one of the flagship of CBRE globally to address this market and maybe the demand?
I think it's just a validation that the content we showed during the previous keynotes is spot on. Like the experience thing is not just a marketing move, it's real. And it's a great validation of that. It's like the largest real estate organization in the world is making a move to transform brick and mortar in something a bit more experiential. The second thing is, how do we spread that to larger accounts? And we, as Dan was saying, how do we go pro, basically? Coworking is having this kind of etiquette and connotation. This is a transitional phase between the moment you start operations and the moment you will go to your own space and build your own culture. So the transition now, to connect with the topic, is how do we explain very clearly why is it safer and better than long term? And now that we're part of CBRE, I can tell, like, I've been struggling as an entrepreneur. Not struggling, I've always had a lot of good time, but it was like we put our best pitch together, we put the best presentations, and at the end we don't have a seat at the table for negotiation, and they sign a long-term lease somewhere. It's extremely frustrating, because we know we have more value. Now we are way more exposed to large occupiers, because it's one of the mandates with the CBRE acquisition. And honestly, they have no idea. And if we bring the co-working pitch with clarity, they're like, of course, we want that. We'll have the best tool to experiment. We'll be able to go bigger, smaller. You'll take care of the customization. Is extremely hard nowadays to design a space. Find a space, design it, deliver it on time. It's like increasingly difficult. So they're super happy we're coming with solutions. They just want guarantees about the process and transparency about the process.
So yesterday I had a discussion with Adam from Scott Weber in Prague, and was telling me it was striking that some years ago it took them 6 months to open up a space. So concept, so design it and open it. I know he was telling me, I don't know if Adam is here, but it was taking him 2 years because of the complexity and the need for customization. Rebecca, what? Are you also seeing that yourself? How is WeWork maybe seeing this? We spoke about customization and more kind of managed office product and things like that. Do you see that also as one of the next step for our industry, also to grow potentially?
You mean on the complexity of opening?
Yes, that we customize more and more, and hence we have to customize more and more and bring up a lot more experiences and service together in order to address this
No,
demand.
definitely. So that we've seen this for the last just after COVID. We witnessed in many countries in Europe, and we keep on witnessing it, big companies moving in. Sometimes they take a full building. The moment they take a full building, you're entering a different scope of work in terms of custom fit out, in terms of, we have a lot of tech requirements, specific to the company itself. You have a lot of GDPR subjects being discussed. So it is evolving. It is not anymore really providing a chair, a desk, and a lamp. It is making it their own space. So we've seen it. We had a huge expansion for Amazon in the US and many countries outside the US. I think it was seen in the news. And they have definitely their special requests, their security measures, tech requirements, and many other companies beside Amazon. So we have witnessed it, and we have adapted to how do we fulfill the requirements of this company. So you evolve with the demand coming from one desk, serving an all-access members and a community space pleasant, to serving a company taking a full building and having their special requirements. So definitely there is an evolution, and we adopted to those requirements.
Paulo?
Yeah, actually, we're trying to work a bit like car companies do. We're trying to actually save time on the time to open new sites. And you do that, of course, through scale. That's a big benefit, but also from a lot of data, a lot of experience. So we try to design the sites already based on the demand that we know we're going to have, because we are present in the markets, and therefore we can anticipate. But that is to go fast and efficient, cost efficient. But at the same time, you do want to customize a lot for clients, but you do that on the site. So you prepare the technology, all the cablings, everything you need that it works for everyone. But then, as you guys probably know, when a client comes to visit us, they will have a catalog. They can choose specific furniture so that you can have an executive office, a president room, or you can have high dense. You can do that, having that ready to go, anticipated in warehouses, and so on. So, because again, if you have to wait a long time, if it takes 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to build site, while you're losing either rent-free or, it's a cost at the end, right? So you actually want to shorten that as much as you can and be super efficient.
All right. Someone wants to answer. So otherwise, we still have 2 minutes to leave you a word of comment about what you expect from this conference or from the meetings you might have during this week. So maybe Dan first, if you want to share maybe a thought or conclusion you have already from what we heard already?
Yeah, I think, Berlin specifically is one of the largest co-working markets in Europe. And, we've been seeing it growing over the last 10 years tremendously. And we talk about what's happening in the background in the industry, and we work on our strategy and how do we react to a constantly changing and evolving market, and it's really good to see the insights that we all share. We all see the same things, so it's really good. Thank you.
Great. Yvan, maybe? Yeah.
I've been really excited to be talking to all those knowledgeable people. I can't remember the last time it happened, so thank you first for making that happen. One of the, not the discovery because it's always been there, it's the focus on square meters. I've had various discussions with brokers and clients, and they all come to us with a requirement just based on square meters. We rarely received the profile of the company, what they're trying to achieve in terms of workforce and management and hybrid strategy. And I understand because they don't want to be disclosing confidential information or just showing some vulnerability. But I think it's one of the things which is very controversial, and I'm curious to engage with everybody as much as possible about this topic, is do you think we should focus increasingly on square meters discussion, because that's what we've been talking about for decades. So when we engage with various real estate stakeholders, they need to control the topic first, and then we can educate and shift towards the experiential aspect? Or do we think we should really focus on the outcomes, delivering outcomes, giving information about when the hub day should be, because we can accommodate it realistically and physically, or what kind of security they need for their teams, or whether it's online or physical security. So that's a debate we constantly have internally. Should we walk away from the real estate consideration and really focus on return on investment is going to be about how your team engage and how they collaborate and how they create together? Or should we always enter the discussion with the real estate, with fundamental aspect, and then slowly we can shift? This is
Sneak into the other discussion, all right?
Yeah, but it's about transitioning, and we know that we've been focusing on partnering with asset owners about these operator things, and people were calling us crazy all the time and closing the doors after doors, and we had to be a bit sneaky and progressive in our approach. So it's the same thing today, maybe with tenants and occupiers. Are we going to go for the partnership route and be very transparent, or do we first go the easy way and talk about real estate? That's a big question. I don't really have the answer, and I'm looking for it.
Thank you. Christophe, a word of conclusion, something you expect?
Yes, from me, the leader of the next year, it's companies. We work with data, a lot of data, because we have a lot of hospitality services and data. It's very difficult, to combine all data. And if you have a very nice platform, I think you can win the market, because you can have a very nice office, very nice design, very nice location. If you have a competitor have a nice platform, better platform than you, maybe you lose the prospect and the market.
Paulo?
Well, for me, next 2 days, I want to learn a lot, meet a lot of people. I want to catch up, did already with some old colleagues or people from the industry. I guess that's about it. It's meet people. Yeah.
Awesome. Rebecca, we started with you, we end with you.
I think I'm all about human connection. So I will say I'm expecting to have human contacts, discussing with people, getting to know new companies. There are people I don't know here in the panel, so that's maybe we can have discussions later on, and definitely hear more about what are the new softwares, what are the new approaches or design for the co-working flex industry, and then we take it from there. So we keep on learning.
Great. Thank you so much. We can have a round of applause. Thank you for this insightful first discussion. So we have now the coffee break for 45 minutes. Housekeeping notes, so this room will be divided in two during the coffee break. So I ask you to leave it out. And so in order for the team to be able to put the stage back for the new room and enjoy the coffee break.